It's week 8 of the NFL season, and we give you our 3 best bets for this Sunday, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com. We have 3 more NFL bets for you for this Sunday, but first, if you're new to Grandstand Bettors, go ahead, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our NFL free picks and free predictions all season long. While you're at it, smash that like button. We've had a couple weeks in a row with some nice, profitable free picks out there, and we're going to continue right now. So without further ado, let's dive in to our NFL Week 8 free picks, and we're going to start with our first game in the 1 p.m. time slot between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. Now, Eagles 3.5-point favorites here. The over-under is set at 48. After starting the season with a win over the Falcons, the Eagles have lost 5 of 6 games, falling to 2-5 on the season. Many are questioning whether Jalen Hurts is really the future of the Eagles. We ourselves have questioned this, but if you really dive deep into the Eagles season, that 2-5 record is not a direct reflection of Jalen Hurts in the least bit. This guy, he's thrown for 1,700 yards on the season, leads the Eagles in rushing with 361 yards on the ground. He's got 15 total touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. He has also done a great job finding that open receiver. 7 guys on the Eagles have 18 receptions or more, and 7 different receivers have found the end zone for him and the Eagles. So, really good passing stats throughout the first part of the season here. So let's not put all the blame on Jalen Hurts. Now, rookie Devonta Smith has quickly become Hurts' favorite target. The guy has 32 catches for 400 yards on the season. The Eagles really middle of the road when it comes to their offensive scheme in both passing and running in the NFL. They rank right around 14 through 18 for most categories. In all honesty, the play calling, we think, is the reason for that 2-5 record. Miles Sanders, where are you, sir? He may be the least used running back in all the NFL. This guy only has 63 carries through 7 games. Just in comparison, Derrick Henry has rushed for 191 yards. Miles Sanders, 63 times. So he is dealing with an ankle injury, so we might see Gainwell and Scott a little bit more in this one, especially if he doesn't go. Gainwell will probably get the start. Good news for the Eagles, though, as they do face the Lions this week, who have a defensive rank that's mostly across the bottom third of the NFL in all categories, and they're the 7th worst defense in yards given up, giving up about 383 per game. The Eagles, regardless of who is on the field Sunday at running back, should and will put up points against this Lions team. They're averaging 22.7 points per game, and the Lions are giving up 28 points per game. Now, looking at the Lions, on the other hand, they're worse than that 2-5 record for the Eagles. They're 0-7 after losing last week to the Rams in that Goff versus Stafford showdown. On the surface, Goff and the Lions have statistically moved the ball. Goff, like Hurts, 1,700 yards, 8 touchdowns, uses an array of different receivers. 5 different receivers actually have over 200 receiving yards. But the Achilles heel for Goff and the Lions have been turnovers. And Goff, in particular, has 6 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost on the season. In the last 3 weeks, he has only thrown 1 touchdown pass and 4 INTs. And this week, it may not get any easier for him. The Eagles have a very above-average passing defense, only giving up 227 yards per game through the air. There is hope here for the Lions, though, to move the football in this game, as it will come in the hands of their running backs, Williams and Swift. We won't call them a two-headed monster, but the duo does complement each other very well. Combined 575 yards on the season with 5 touchdowns as well. And they get to go against a pretty bad rushing defense in the NFL. The Eagles giving up over 130 yards per game on the ground. And that is exactly what Goff and the offense need to do to open that downfield passing game. So, overall, this game on paper, it probably wouldn't intrigue you much with the teams that are playing and with their records, respectfully. But the Lions, they're a very emotional team. Look at their head coach, okay? They have shown, especially last week, that they are all in to win a game. The fake punt, the onside kick last week, it's a strong indicator that these boys, these men for the Lions do want to win a game. We expect the Eagles, though, and Hurts to move the ball on the Lions defense and score points, but with that Lions heart, they're going to want to score points as well. So look for Swift and Williams to both have a good game in this one. Maybe one of them gets over 100 yards if one touches the ball at least 16, 17 times. All in all, though, points are going to happen in this matchup. So for our first pick of Week 8 in the NFL, we're going to take the Eagles and the Lions over 48. Now, with our second pick for Week 8 in the NFL, we're looking at the time slot of 4 p.m. Eastern, and the game is the New England Patriots taking on the LA Chargers. It's 4.5 the spread to the Chargers right now with an over-under set at 49.5. Patriots coming into this game with a 3-4 record and are second in the AFC East after that 54-13 just trouncing of the Jets last week. They have to be pretty solid here on offense and defensively in this game if they're going to want to beat a really good Chargers team. On offense, it's going to boil down to really Matt Jones. The Patriots' run game has been solid this season behind Damian Harris, who leads the team with 437 rushing yards. Harris is actually averaging 4.6 yards per carry this season, and against the worst run defense in the league, he should have no problem racking up some yardage. But the other part of their offense, which we just touched on, Matt Jones, he's looked good in his rookie year, but he still has some inconsistency to his play. If he's not able to produce in this one in the passing game against the Chargers secondary, which only gives up 201 yards passing per game, the defense is going to stifle that Patriots offense for the most of the 4 quarters. So Matt Jones does need to get that passing game going to open up Damian Harris in the run game. Defensively, Patriots' run defense has not been great this season. They are giving up over 100 yards rushing per game. They're lucky that their secondary has been playing so well, or else they probably would have given up more points here. With how dangerous Herbert is throwing the ball and Eckler out of the backfield, it's going to be a big test here for the Patriots D. Looking at the Chargers, they're 4-2, and they're coming off a bye week after the beatdown they had suffered at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. It probably came at a good time. This team so far seems very similar to the Kansas City Chiefs in that if you don't outscore your opponent, then you're going to lose. So all the games they won this season, they did have 20 or more points. In the 2 losses, they only scored 23 combined points. So Chargers going to have to put up some points on that Patriots defense if they want to have a shot at winning this game. If they're going to make any sort of late season run and an opportunity to make the playoffs, especially coming out of that, what could be a tough AFC West, at least a mediocre one at best. They're going to need to figure things out on defense. They're giving up 25 points, 354 yards per game, and as we mentioned, their Achilles heel is their run defense. And although their secondary is doing well statistically, it's really because opposing teams are not having to really throw the ball against the secondary. But despite the status of their defense, although the reason the team still has 4 wins is because of their offense, rookie Rashawn Slater was a big boost to their offensive line. Wide receivers Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, those guys have been phenomenal on offense so far this season, and they've accounted for 917 yards through the air and 7 touchdowns. So Herbert, he utilizes really everybody that's on the field. He uses Jared Cook, he uses Guyton, he uses Austin Eckler. So does a nice job throwing to different receivers and finding the open men. It's difficult to defend the Chargers, in all honesty. The Patriots have a good defense. We think they're going to struggle this week, though, with the Chargers. With an extra week to prepare for this game, Chargers should be ready for that Patriots defense and put up points in this one. With the home field advantage as well, Patriots having to travel out west, we see the Chargers winning this one, and I think it's going to be easier than you guys would think. So, for our second pick of week number 8 in the NFL, we're going to take the LA Chargers over the Patriots minus 4.5. Now, with our final pick of week number 8 of the NFL, we're going to look at the Washington football team and the Denver Broncos. This game's at 4:25 Eastern. The Broncos 3-point favorites here, over under set at 44.5. Broncos, after starting the season 3-0, albeit over the Giants, Jets, and Jags, they have now lost 4 straight after that Thursday night football loss to the Cleveland Browns. Now, great news, however, though, for the Broncos. They're getting Jerry Jeudy back. He's going to be playing for the first time since week 1. Terry Bridgewater will openly welcome him back Not that Bridgewater hasn't managed well without him. In fact, he's had a very good season statistically, throwing for 1,700 yards and a 70% completion percentage with 12 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. But in Judy's absence, Sutton, Patrick, and Fant have really stepped up into that wide receiver by committee role, which would also kind of include Gordon and Williams out of the backfield. Those 5 combined 1,500 yards of the 1,700 that he's thrown, 10 of the 12 touchdowns. So Judy's going to be a welcome addition, but they have really done well passing in his absence. This week, the Broncos and Bridgewater are going to have a great opportunity to get back on track and maybe steal a win here, as they will most likely have to do it through the passing game. They're going to face the worst passing defense in all the NFL. Washington giving up 300 yards per game through the air and has given up 9 passing touchdowns over the last 3 games. And one of those was a 4-touchdown TD performance by Jameis Winston. So they're giving up a lot of passing touchdowns. Look for Bridgewater to throw a lot here. About 35 times he'll probably throw in this one, given Washington's top 10 run defense. However, if the passing game is working well early, look for Gordon and Williams, who've had almost the same statistics this season, to be utilized for maybe some big plays, as the linebackers then will probably sit back a little closer to the secondary. So there could be some big chunk plays late in the game for those 2 running backs. Now, speaking of Washington football team, they're coming into this game 2-5 after what must feel like a game they just gave away to the Green Bay Packers. The Washington football team had 6 trips inside the red zone last week. They only scored twice. It seemed like every time you turned on the TV, these guys were inside the Packers' 25 goal line. But the most devastating of all the plays was when Heineke actually gave himself up on the 1-inch line instead of just walking in for an easy touchdown. And then he fumbles on 4th and goal after that play. So just awful performance by Washington football team. Just devastating result last week. They'll hopefully get back on track this week. If you're a Washington football team fan, you got to think that they could be 500 here. Now, Heineke, we're not going to get on him too much. It was a bad play last week, but in, taking over for Fitzpatrick since week number 1, the guy has thrown for 1,600 yards with 10 touchdowns, and he's also rushed for over 200 yards. He could, if the ball went the right way and some of the plays went the right way, have this team at 500 easily. Now, listen, one of his problems is turnovers. The whole football team, turnovers is a problem, but that just comes with maturity. He's young, he'll learn. But he's looked good on this team, due a lot into the fact that Terry McLaurin is one of his wide receivers. This guy's been a beast this year. The guy has 40 catches, 550 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He has been the number 1 target for Heineke by a long shot. The next leading targeted guy is actually the running back J.D. McKissick, but McLaurin has double the targets that McKissick does. So if they can if Denver can shut down they can shut down Terry McLaurin, then it's going to be a long day passing the ball for the Washington football team. Now, unlike the Washington defense, Denver does have a good passing defense. They're a top 10 defense at that. 224 yards passing per game only is what they allow. Von Miller will play, it looks like, on Sunday. Heineke could be in for a long afternoon if he does. That's still kind of up in the air, so watch that injury report. If the passing game is non-existent, they're going to rely on Heineke's mobility to find opportunities to run, and they'll also look into the backfield with Antonio Gibson. Gibson, 103 rushing attempts this year for 400 yards, so almost about 4 yards per carry. Pretty good so far this season. In all honesty, we have no idea how well Denver's rushing defense is going to play in this one. It's just like a roller coaster this year with these guys and the rushing defense. 1 week, they're letting Lamar Jackson and the Ravens only 3.3 yards per carry in that game. The next game, Najee Harris, the rookies, rushing for 122. The game after that, they keep Josh Jacobs to 3.3 yards. But the game after that, just last week, to Ernest Johnson, a third-string quarterback or running back, that guy goes off for 146. So the rush defense has just been up and down. What game we'll get out of them this week, we have no idea. But overall, they do give up less than 100 yards per game. So it might be hard for Gibson and Heineke to rush as well. Now, overall, this game really comes down to the 2 defenses. As we mentioned, they have to perform. Washington, they've given up 29 points in 5 of the last 6 games. 2 of those teams were the Giants and the Falcons. With Denver's offense not looking great the past few weeks, we still think that they are going to be able to put up points. Having Jerry Jeudy back is going to be a huge addition, and it might give them a little spark here on their offense. Now, with the game at Mile High Stadium and the Broncos having an elongated rest, having just played on Thursday Night Football last week, our final pick for NFL Week number 8 is going to be the Denver Broncos -3 over the Washington Football Team. That's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. We're going to be live streaming the Browns and the Steelers on Sunday at 1 p.m. It's Halloween, so come join us on Halloween afternoon. Watch the Browns and the Steelers. We'll also send out our Monday Night Football pick around halftime of the Sunday Night Football game. But, as always, sit back, relax, enjoy NFL Week number 8, and we'll see you next week.